There are many men in this country that will sell it out to dictatorship for their own financial security. It turns out the price of freedom isn't 30 pieces of silver. Sometimes it's just a stable paycheck and a full fridge. Before I get into this, please like, subscribe, and follow. I really appreciate all of my new followers. You see, men, and I don't just mean men biologically, I mean providers, head of households, the ones who feel responsible, they will trade their voice, their vote, their conscience for an illusion of safety. And history is absolutely littered with examples of it. And look, if you think it can't happen here, you're already halfway to making it happen here. So here is the pattern we've seen throughout history. First, the economy gets shaky, of course. Jobs vanish. Inflation rises. Wealth concentrates at the top. People feel their personal security slipping away. They start to look for someone to blame. And in that anxiety steps a leader, a strong voice, big promises, someone who has plenty of villains to point at. You see, in the 30s, Germany was economically just devastated, and millions of men came back from the war humiliated, unemployed, unable to feed their families. And along came a man promising jobs and prosperity, stability, national pride, in exchange for loyalty, obedience, and a temporary suspension of democratic norms. And in Italy, Mussolini, he didn't seize power overnight. He sold people on the idea that, order and work were worth giving up parliamentary chaos for. And in country after country after country, from Chile in the 70s to Russia in the 90s, the trade-off was always the same. You get your stability, but democracy gets quietly strangled in the process. So why are men so vulnerable to this trade? It's about the pressure of being the breadwinner, the cultural script that says, your worth is tied to your ability to provide. And if you lose that, you don't just lose income. You lose your identity. So when a politician says, I'll bring back your job, I'll make the economy strong again, you'll be able to take care of your family, that's not just economic policy. That is a lifeline to your dignity. And the politician will say, but you have to back me at whatever the price. And for a lot of men, that feels like a fair trade. And the tragedy of that is the very freedoms that make security possible, freedom of speech, freedom of press, and fair elections, those are the first things to go in this bargain between politicians and men. And by the time people realize, they've already handed over the keys. It's too late. By the time they realize what they've done, it's too late. But this is 2025, right? So it's not going to be about tanks in the street. No. Modern dictatorships wear business suits, have PR campaigns, talk about efficiency instead of martial law. They'll call it efficiency or maybe safety. You see, we live in a corporate age where men are told, if the stock market is up, then your country is doing just fine. And if the stock market's up, democracy must be healthy. But those numbers, no, those numbers can rise while your freedoms collapse. And plenty of leaders, they're happy to let billionaires run the show as long as they keep the working man just comfortable enough not to revolt. You've all seen the guy that says, I don't care about politics as long as my job is safe. Who cares about protest or the freedom of the press as long as the economy is stable? That's exactly the mindset authoritarians need. Not fanatic loyalty, just acceptance. Passive acceptance. And the trap is once you've accepted this trade or this bargain, it's almost impossible to break, because if the strong man fails, you might lose the very financial security that you traded for your freedoms. So even if you see the corruption, even if you see what's happening around you, the brutality, the shrinking of rights, even if you see all of that, you convince yourself that it's just not that bad. And look, authoritarians and dictators, they know this. They know this all too well. They know they have to keep everyone happy, right? Just keep enough people fed, working, and distracted. Yeah, bread, circuses, a pension plan, right? It's not loyalty they want. It's dependence. You see, the most dangerous time for a democracy is not when it's being attacked from external forces or from the outside. It's when citizens decide that stability is worth more than liberty. That is when democracy is the most in danger. And if you want both freedom and security, you can't take the bargain. You can't take the trade. You have to demand leaders who can deliver prosperity without silencing dissent. Because once you've traded your vote for a paycheck, you may have money in your pocket, but you'll be living in a country that no longer belongs to you. It no longer belongs to you. It's no longer your country. And that is a price that nobody should be willing to pay. But unfortunately, many are. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I really appreciate all of my new followers and subscribers. Please share. Thank you.